Welcome to Dermot Doorlys history programme. History, it's everywhere, huh? Names echo the ages, some remain with us and some disappear down a dirty bog hole. Caesar, Pompeii, the Mc Cormacks, crossing the Rubicon, Constantinople, Offaly, the Gallic Wars. Historians have only recently discovered that not only did the Romans make it to Ireland, but in fact very nearly conquered the entirety of the country in a matter of days. Exciting new findings indicating that several legions of the Imperial Army, totalling 27,500 men, undoubtedly the toughest and most formidable soldiers on the planet at that time, marched from the heart of Rome across Europe right to the centre of Ireland, where their great advance was brought to a sudden, brutal and unexpected end. Julius Caesar had ordered his army to burn every square inch of Europe to the ground and return home afterwards for a massive victory party. The Romans, who expected Ireland to be the easiest of all European countries to conquer, left it till last. There was major movements going on back in Rome as well. The old political landscape was shaping up and shaping down. You know what? I'd say they were coming to Ireland for a bit of mindfulness. Peace and quiet, you know? Huh? Bit of peace and quiet. What did they get? They didn't fucking get peace and quiet anyway, I'll tell you that. Huh? Apart from the odd tinker trying to sell them gates and a few rogue wolves with shite-caked darses, the Romans encountered little resistance in Ireland. Having rapidly plundered and pillaged the country into submission, the Romans were on the verge of abandoning their great conquest of Europe and turning for Rome, when one Wednesday evening they reached a windy hill in a remote patch of soggy bogland in north-west County Offaly. They had unknowingly arrived in an area inhabited by a notorious clan of filth mongering Irish deviants called the Mc Cormacks. Practically nothing has been known about the Mc Cormack clan until recently. Archaeologists believe they were a highly primitive breed of feeble-brained humans, known for little apart from their hole-digging capabilities. And that's about all you could do back in Offaly in those days. It was either that or shovel light into the corner. Digging holes was an integral part of every aspect of the Mc Cormacks' lives. They dug holes to live in, sleep in, and go to the toilet in. They also dug holes when eating, drinking, fornicating, giving birth and having wedding ceremonies, which involved a man or a woman marrying a hole. It was tradition to give a hole as a wedding present to a married couple, who sometimes spent their honeymoon in it. Oddly enough, the Mc Cormacks didn't use holes for burying the dead, and instead ate the bodies, often not caring whether the person was actually dead or alive. Fierce hunger back then, you know. You'd be walking around your bare feet as well. Huh? No fucking Netflix. Definitely no Netflix anyway, I'll tell you that. The Mc Cormacks even communicated by digging holes. To say hello, 4 medium-depth holes were dug with the feet. Saying goodbye involved the digging of between 13 and 17 holes around the person you were saying goodbye to. If a Mc Cormack wanted to inform another Mc Cormack that, for example, they had a bit of cabbage stuck in their teeth, a wild flurry of shallow holes were dug in a random order as a way of letting them know. The Mc Cormacks did manage to invent their own alphabet, which consists of just 4 letters. You can guess them, sure. H, O, L and E for hole. Hole. The Mc Cormacks dug holes just for the simple pleasure of digging a hole. Men happy at their work, you won't bait them. No digging tools were used, just their hands, feet and mouth, while carrying out this most primitive of tasks. Some archaeologists believe they held hole digging tournaments, and the winners were awarded with holes as prizes, which they could choose to fill in or dig deeper. 74% of the time they chose to fill back in the hole. In fact, all evidence seems to indicate that this ultra-dense tribe of barely humans did little else other than dig holes. Their small brains, which were the size of a poorly formed baby potato, were wired for digging little else. Countless civilizations down through the ages have revered and worshipped the sun. Not the Mc Cormacks. They hated the sun. They hated the sun with such a crazed passion that they invented many useless contraptions to try snuff it out. All of these contraptions involved the pegging of stones into the sky with extremely poorly designed and constructed catapults that always broke after 2 pegs at the most. They despised the moon too, and were known to sometimes throw their feces at it and try and punch it, not realising it was very big and very far away. A sect of Irish druids who lived at the time of the Mc Cormacks were known for their detailed inscriptions on the bottom of stone buckets rather than on traditional scrolls. Several of these buckets have been unearthed in a field outside Tullamore, and they describe in graphic detail the encounter between the Mc Cormacks and the Romans. On that soft, windy evening when the Romans arrived in the boggy domain of the Mc Cormacks, all they would have seen was filth-caked, indescribably ugly black shapes, digging holes as far as the eye could see. An incessant movement of ape-like creatures crawling into and out of holes. Perhaps the Romans may have also witnessed a few people pegging stones at the sun, but that was a ritual that was usually held in winter, when Mc Cormacks believed the sun was weak and vulnerable to the rocks. The stupid cunts, no wonder they're fucking extinct. Huh? So, as the Romans stood in perfectly neat formations holding their highly sophisticated modern weaponry, which included elaborately decorated war elephants, they surely must have been left both baffled and bemused. And no sign of Caesar. Sure, didn't Caesar kill an elephant? Or that was one of the old things he told us anyway, you know. But sure he mightn't have been off with fucking Cleopatra, or you wouldn't know, you know. Just before sunset, the supreme commander of the Roman legion, Servius Tullius, stepped forward and sounded his gold-gilded trumpet. Tullius was a highly decorated soldier who would single-handedly kill 2,000 men in battle. Aye, that's what he said, alright. He had invented a chariot, was next in line to become emperor after Caesar. A random Mc Cormack man who happened to be nearest to the Roman commander ambled up to him and began nervously sniffing the trumpet. Then, without any warning, he raised his filth-caked fist and let fly with an outrageous haymaker, which landed square in the forehead of Servius Tullius. The dull-sounding, ferocious thump echoed around the holes. Several Mc Cormacks smiled and drooled, indicating that they liked the sound. Tullius lay sprawled on the flat of his back, twitching, his brain swelling rapidly. The horrific thump had split his brain in half. The Mc Cormacks had superhuman strong arms and shoulders due to their constant digging. The 27,500 Roman legionnaires froze at the sight of their hero and leader in the throes of death on the mucky ground. The man who threw the punch pulled off one of the Romans' commander's boots and began licking it. Both confused and excited by the presence of the Romans, the Mc Cormacks started grunting and running in circles. Well, lo and behold, then, in a fit of absolute confusion, they began attacking each other savagely, as the Romans looked on in stupefied bafflement. And the Mc Cormacks would have continued baiting the absolute scuttle out of each other all day and all night if they weren't distracted by the unfamiliar sound of the war elephants, which were becoming mightily frightened. The Mc Cormacks stopped and stared at the strange mammoth-headed beasts. Next thing, for the sheer devilment, didn't one of the Mc Cormacks burst forward and let fly with a brutal kick to the mouth of one of the war elephants, knocking out several of its front teeth and splitting its lip. Then, for reasons which historians can't fully understand, the Mc Cormacks turned their attention on the Romans and erupted into a frenzy of manic hole digging in all directions. They dug like they never dug before, and within a matter of minutes every Roman soldier had tumbled helplessly into a hole. The Mc Cormacks leapt in after them and began biting, headbutting, elbowing, kicking, poking, mowing, clawing, spitting, hacking, raping, scratching and knocking 17 shades of shite out of every Roman in the fucking place. Even the massively powerful war elephants got an unmerciful beating. Several of them were almost certainly raped and then eaten raw. Then, in an instant, just as quickly as the Mc Cormacks started their attack, they stopped it. They bounded up out of the holes, sat down on the ground and began chewing sods of turf, which they did when they wanted to relax. It lashed rain all night and any surviving Romans had drowned in their holes by morning time. Not knowing they defeated the most powerful army on the planet, the Mc Cormacks carried on with their simple lives. In the coming weeks, when news spread around Europe about what had taken place in Offaly, several foreign kings who were delighted the Romans had been conquered sent to McCormack shiploads of gold and silver. Having never encountered gold before, the McCormacks first attacked the gold. Then they tried to eat it. And finally, the usual, they attempted to rape it. It was at this point that the McCormacks vanished off the face of the earth. Archaeologists believed that they for some reason became terrified of the gold and perhaps thought it was the sun. They rapidly dug the deepest hole they'd ever dug and buried themselves alive, all in one go with the gold, and that is where they've remained to this very day. The gold, which is valued at around 270 billion euros, was dug up last week by Offaly County Council and sent to Dublin in a convoy of dump trucks. It will possibly be used by the current government to pay off all the country's debts and kickstart another extremely prosperous Celtic tiger. The recent findings in northwest Offaly seem to indicate that an unheard of hedonistic tribe of subhuman muck savages called the McCormacks unwittingly assisted in the downfall of the Roman Empire, as well as assisting in a complete resurgence of the modern day Irish economy. You know, we could learn a lot of lessons from that, but when you start getting notions, start getting notions. That's what the boys come over here with notions taught to bait us. You have to bait us first, huh? I'm Dermot Doorly. Thanks for tuning into History with Dermot Doorly. Next week, we'll examine the bloody and at times very murderous history of the Irish Rasher.